Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you through each of the ABRSM Theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you. If you go to my website, if you go to sharonbill.com, you will find some free PDF information sheets and you can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll find a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also find information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to make the best use of your time on exam day when you're actually working through your exam paper. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be really fab, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And now we're going to continue with the grade 5 past paper from 2014. We're looking at paper A and we're turning to page 4 for question 4 now. So then question 4 goes over 2 pages, so we need to keep this page to hand, and then you also need to be turning over to page 5 for the questions that they're going to be asking you about this piece of music here. So I do recommend that you have a go of this on your own. It's always better to learn by your mistakes. Doesn't matter if you go wrong. Always work in pencil. I use a mechanical pencil just so that it stays nice and sharp, because you could risk losing marks if your work isn't neat and easy to read. And then if you've got an eraser to hand, it doesn't matter if it all goes a bit wrong, we can rub it out and have another go. So then, let's have a look what we're going to be asked to spot on this little extract. Nice bit of wry neck here. Here we go. So then, they've given us an example. They're going to ask us some questions and they're going to ask us to mark clearly on the music. We're going to have to annotate this little score using capital letters to show our answer, and then tell them which bar to look at. So for example, they're saying, if they're asking you to point out a tie in the flute part, we can find a tie in the flute part. It could have been that one, but they've chosen that one. They've circled it and marked it as question A, and it's in bar 2. So let's have a look at this ourselves. So in the flute part, we're looking for a dominant note in the key of D minor. So in the key of D minor, let's see what the dominant is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th is the dominant. So if we count up D, E, F, G, A. So basically we're looking for a note A in the flute part. So let's see what we've got here. So this is going to be question B. And so if we're looking for a note A, here we go. There's one there. So if you circle that, that's B, and we'd write in our answer bar 1. I suspect there are lots more as well, so let's see what options we've got. We've got an A, an octave lower here, so you could do that one. There's an answer to question B. Let's keep going. Here's another one, so you could choose that one. There's one there in bar 5. As you can see, there's lots and lots. Here's another one in bar 6, so you could choose that one, or you could choose this one on bar 7. So any of those will do. So I started with bar 1, excuse me. However, you could say bar 3, we've noted, bar 4 we noted, bar 5, bar 6, bar 7. So any one of those will do. Lots of choice there. Let's carry on. So in the piano part, we are asked to find a tonic chord of D minor in the first inversion. We're looking for 1B. So let's see how we can find that quickly. If you know what you're looking for, you're not going to be wasting time scouring through the score and just getting a little bit panicky. So in D minor, chord 1 begins on a D, of course, 1st, 3rd, 5th. And 1B would have the F in the bass. So we're looking for an F in the bass part of the piano part, and then we're looking for the chords D, F, A around that. So then let's have a little look. So we're looking for a note F as the lowest note in the bass part. We'll F, 1, 3, 5, 7. So that won't do. That's a D. So that's a D. Let's carry on. That's an A. That's a G. Here we have a note F. So that's the correct bass note. So now we need to see if it's a chord 1 with D, F, A overall. So we've got an F, an A, a D, an A, and an A. And so we can see that's all of the notes of chord 1 with the F in the bass. And so that would be our answer. So here we need to annotate this. So we'll circle that in the piano part. This is question C, and then if we just pop back to here, question C, you will find the answer in bar 5. There we go. So then, now the next part, in the flute part, we're looking for the melodic interval of an augmented second. So we're looking for an augmented second in the flute part. So what will give us a clue to this, an augmented interval has been raised, it's been augmented, and so we're looking for some accidentals. So we're looking for next door notes, 1, 2, a second, but that's got some sort of clue that it's been raised or augmented. So this bar looks like it might be a possibility. There's lots of sharps here. So G sharp to A is not, because the lower note is raised. That's actually much smaller. We've made it smaller. However, A to B sharp, so A to B would be major, and then we've raised it again, so that becomes augmented. So there is our augmented second, A to B sharp. So if we just circle those and call that D, that's our answer to question D. And so we know that bar 4 is where they will see our answer. There we go. Okay, carrying on. Now we're asked to rewrite the first right-hand piano chord of the extract. So it sounds at the same pitch, but we're using the tenor clef. And so let's just do that straight away. So we have a kind of a double bar. It's all raised up because this second line from the top is now middle C. So we want the clef, and now we want the key signature of B flat. So if that's C, this is B flat. And so just be careful to keep middle C as your anchor point so you don't end up an octave out. So we're looking at the first right hand piano chord of the extract. So here is middle C. So we're on the D above that, and then 1, 3, 5, 6 below, C, B, A, G, F. So the D above middle C is here, and then 1, 3, 5, 6, C, B, A, G, F. That's the correct note, and we're in the right part of the octaves. We're below middle C here, and we're 1 above middle C here, so that's correct. And then just pop a dot because they are dotted minims. So that is exactly the same chord as that, just written in a different clef. Righty-ho, let's move on to the next section. Now, this shows how the layout of the paper has changed. So from 2018 onwards, these musical terms will be presented to you in multiple choice format. However, I do recommend that you just go ahead and give these their full definition. It's a really good revision resource to do that, because remember, this is all of your musical terms and performance directions from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4 and grade 5 are cumulative. So there's lots to revise here. I suggest that you learn them thematically rather than alphabetically. Group them together in like topics, so everything that's slow, everything that's fast and so on, just to help you, and find whatever ways you can of getting to grips with these words. Some of them, the more bizarre you make it, the more thoroughly you will remember it. These go right back, these first two I think from grade 1, so it might be a while since you've dealt with these. So adagio is a tempo direction, that means slow, and so I would group that with things like lento and grave and so on, just because they are all tempo directions to do with slow. Now dolce here, this is a little bit more of a descriptive word, and this always reminds me, I don't know why, just in my abstract brain, I think of a sweet little dolly, and it actually means sweetly, so that just helps me to remember that. That might not work for you, but there we go. That's my method there. So SF means forced, and I just think that's sort of an like an onomatopoeia of the word. It's sort of a sound, it just sounds forced, so that's just the way I remember it. Or suddenly loud, you force that quickly. There we go. So whatever works for you, find your own way. If that's totally unhelpful, I completely understand. Let's get back to the score. So we're asked to name the ornament in the flute part of bar 6. So let's have a look in bar 6. And the flute part is the top line here. Tells us at the beginning where we're looking. So the top line here, this is the ornament. Now one of these on its own would be an appoggiatura. However, because there's two, it's just a more sure answer to say grace notes, because there's more than one. So we'll just call those grace notes. It's quite a nice all-encompassing term. There we go. So now we need to describe the time signature. Is it simple or compound, and how many beats are there in the bar? 2, 3 or 4, duple, triple, quadruple. So 9/8, we can see it's grouped in threes. It's compound time, and we can see that there is one group of 3, 2 groups of 3, 3 groups of 3. So it's triple time. There are 3 groups, 3 beats per bar. So we are in compound triple time. There we go. So next one. Write as a breve or a double whole note an enharmonic equivalent of the last note for the flute plays, the last note in the extract. So here we have a G sharp, and if you just look at that on the piano keyboard, a G sharp could also be called an A flat. So just making sure that you get the right octave. So we're right here. And so if we go one step higher, there is our A. And if we flatten that, that takes it to the G sharp. There we go. So answer true or false to each of the following statements. The sign above the last flute note, this sign here, which we can see here, means us to gradually get quieter. Well, that's false, because that's an accent mark, not to be confused with a long closing down sort of hairpin sign. That's your diminuendo. You're gradually getting quieter, and that would come here underneath the stave above the note in that short little space. So although it's the same shape, it's a shorter space, and the diminuendo would actually come here. So that's quite a sneaky one there. So now we're looking at the notes marked in a bracket in bars 6 to 7 of the flute part, and we're asked, is that the descending scale of D melodic minor? So let's have a look at bars 6 to 7. Here we go. And we have a D C, B flat, A, G, F, E, D. We have the whole octave. D minor is related to F major, so that would have the B flats in it, and it comes down in that key signature alone. It's only ascending that you have the raised 6th and 7th, so that is indeed the melodic scale in its descending form, and so that is true. So then, last one. The flute is a member of the woodwind family of orchestral instruments. Name a different family of standard orchestral instruments, and we need to state its lowest sounding member. So it depends which family you choose. If you choose strings, for example, that's a different family. The lowest sounding member would be the double bass. Great massive thing to play. If you chose the brass, you would say tuba. You could perhaps say bass tuba as well. Either one of those would do. So there we go. That's that question completed. I do hope that's helpful to you. I hope that you're enjoying it. I hope it's of benefit to your studies. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that would be really super. And please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And also please do browse around my website. Go to sharonbill.com and make use of all of the resource and information that's available there to help you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.